Ever since I can remember, I wanted to be an actor. Do you want a show? Just give him one.
To do this, we can fight.
Superstar, you have 95% of chances based on your skill, and the remaining 5% is for the people you know and the things that you do. Well, that's not something new, but it's something I decided to just pick out of all the lines that I heard in this movie, Superstar. But I think one of the things that showed me about this movie is how a simple story can be told so beautifully in a way that it almost feels like you've not seen or heard or thought about that story before. Well guys, I'm sure you've been waiting for me to review this and you want to know what I think. Well, I'm about to review the movie Superstar, and yes, I know this is going to be an interesting ride as always. So what you need to do right now is stay right here on my channel and let's get on the adventure together. Welcome back to my channel, guys. My name is Effiong, and it's good to have you return to my channel where I give you content on lifestyle, things in my head, things I think about, things I see, and of course movie reviews always in the mix. Well, today, like I already said earlier on, I'm going to be reviewing the movie Superstar. And yes, this is one movie that I've been itching to see. I mean, I wouldn't have forgiven myself if I had not seen this movie for a lot of reasons. One, because I'm a huge fan of Isime. Two, because I've seen great stuff online and I'm like very curious. I really wanted to see what it is or what it was like and if it is worth all the hype I've seen online. Three, because it's an Egbuson production and I think I love their movies. By the way, they've done quite a number of movies. I think it was Omoni Oboli that made me get familiar with their production house you know, at the time. And now that we are here, Superstar was released in December. Of course, it was also their 10th year anniversary, you know, that's Egbuson 10th year anniversary, and it was sort of huge. The premiere was sort of huge in line with the celebration of their anniversary. So I was just basically anticipating the movie. Was I disappointed? Was it worth it? Well, we are about to find out. As always, for movie reviews, I will tell you a bit of the story, and then we will now dissect some of the technicalities, the storyline, what I saw, and at the end of the day, I get to give it, you know, my points over time, okay? And today will not be any different. So yes, Superstar, just like the name or title depicts, it's a movie of a young lady who was trying to be a star. So it was more like we're seeing the reality of Nollywood inside Nollywood, something like that. So it was more of the Nollywood story and the story of Isime in a Nollywood movie. So it was reality and then storytelling inside of it, because when you watch the movie you can almost tell that this is something that happens, and you just flow, you can easily connect with the story. So Isime is the lead actress on this one, playing the role of Queen. We also had Timini on the movie, who was her boyfriend who cheated on her. There was this other lady, I can't remember her name now. She played the role of Cynthia, who is Isime's friend in the movie. We had Edewor, who played Isime's assistant and manager in the long run. There was Deyemi Okalanwon, who played Bab. And I think worthy of mention also would be Effiong, who played the role of Asani, and I think I really like the name, by the way. Played the role of Asani, who is was an assistant director, then later moved on to be a director, and then Nancy's husband in the movie. I think those are some of the people that are worthy of mention in this particular movie, the top cast away from the other person. It was a very moderate cast, and when I say moderate, I'm saying that it was not too much of a pack like what we had in Chief Daddy, but everyone in the movie understood the assignment. So it tells the story of Queen, who was trying to be a superstar. She's always loved acting against the wish of her parents. So it was more of a flashback before the real thing started. So we're taken back to her life as a young girl, her passion, what she has always wanted to be, down to where was like her world was, you know, crashing right in her face, and she wanted to commit suicide. So we had to, it was from the suicide point that they took us to the backstory, where we now understood why the opening scene was her trying to commit suicide. And I think that's beautiful, by the way. So it was not direct, we had to go round before we came to the original point. And I kind of like it because the storytelling for me was really interesting. I love to follow stories in a way where I can just cross my leg and I'm like, okay, yes, I understand you, okay, I can connect with you. So that was how I felt most of the time seeing this movie. So we saw the life of Nancy, from her parents letting her go for not wanting to study law, to trying to be somebody on her own and all that stuff. And then everything was kind of working out for her, you know. Along the side, she met Daniel Effiong, who sort of introduced her to a reality show, and then she went for it. She became the star she's wanted to be, even though it was not without hurdles, you know. There was the issue of sexual harassment while trying to go for audition, and then there was the issue of her boyfriend who cheated on her. So it was her boyfriend cheating on her with her best friend that made her realize that she had to be something for herself, and that made her go for the reality show when she won, and then came under the management of Babs, that is Deyemi Okalanwon. So yes, that's where the entire story of the stardom started, where you know, people from her past tried to get at her. Basically Timini, who cheated on her with her best friend Cynthia in the movie, and then they tried to get back at her, first betrayed her with a video of her testing out her acting prowess with her best friend Cynthia, and in one of the test exercise or acting exercise they tried to kiss. So it was filmed, and they tried to betray her with that, saying that she's gay and all that not good stuff. So there was this other lady as well. I don't know her name, but I'm not sure I exactly like that acting. But then I could permit it because in the movie, she was a talk show host, and then she was basically on Queen's case. Everything on her show was basically about Queen. Every bad thing that happened is what she wanted to highlight on her talk show, interview people who had issues with Queen and all that stuff. But eventually we understood that she had that stuff going for her with Queen because she was the first runner-up, that second position from the reality show that Queen won and became a star from. So basically it was all that good stuff in between. I think I'm not going to say much about the story, but again, you can almost tell that there was a love interest somewhere with Daniel Effiong and Queen, and they allowed it blossom even though Daniel had cancer, and then they got married before he died, blah 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 blah. Yes, that's a bit of a story. Of course, it looks like what we might know. I mean, it looks like a very simple story, but I think one of the things that thrilled me about this movie is how a simple story can be told so beautifully in a way that it almost feels like you've not seen or heard or thought about that story before. So I think that's what made it interesting for me. It's a story that I know, but it was told so beautifully that I almost forgot that this is almost normal. You know, this is simple. This is, you know, it's a story I can tell as well. But then it was told beautifully, and that's the bottom line, and that's what made Superstar interesting for me. Another thing would be that the fact that the actors did what they were meant to do. I mean, everyone on the movie were passionate about their role, from Daniel Effiong to Isime to Timini Egbuson, who we know is the lover boy. So it was easy for him to be in the you know, in the act. And then We had the fantastic acting from Edewor. Also, I enjoyed watching Deyemi Okalanwon as always. So it was loving to watch. It was interesting to watch because these guys did not just come on board as actors or interesting actors or good actors. They brought their A game on set, and it made the storytelling even more appealing for someone like me who is very big on having Nollywood movies tell good stories. So I enjoyed watching each and every one of them. I think I even enjoyed it more because I'm a huge fan of Nancy, and I feel like Nancy allowed herself, she opened up herself a bit more in this movie. I don't know why I feel that way, but I felt her some more, maybe because this is perhaps a story that she can relate with totally, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure we all know that Nancy was a hustler. I've heard her say her story a couple of times, from ushering to this, to that, to talk shows, to this. She's a hustler. So having her take on that role, hustling, and then eventually tasting stardom, I'm sure it's something that she can totally relate with. So maybe that's why she was, you know, she could embody the character of Queen so much and so perfectly. And I think another thing I enjoyed seeing Nancy do, when I say opening up, is the whole love thingy. I think she really did it well, and it just made me feel like Nancy is going to be an amazing romantic. Like, she's going to be really romantic. I loved watching the love story with her and Timini, even though it wasn't real, but you could see that, you know, she allowed herself feel that role, the point that she was almost forgetting that it was a fake relationship. And then moving on to her love life with Daniel Effiong. Trust me, if you're single and you're watching some of those scenes, you probably will be like, God, when? Even though it's a movie. So I feel like Nancy allowed herself to open up some more for this movie, and it's interesting to see. I think it's the first time I'm going to really see Nancy intimate in any movie. I might be wrong, but this is the first time I'm seeing Nancy very intimate in a movie, and it worked for her. Yeah, another thing I noticed about the movie is the advert placement, which I think I really love to see. I mean, there were a couple of brands that sponsored the movie, and while trying to place the advert for this brand, they did it in such a professional way, away from anything I've seen in any movie in recent times. And it was interesting to see. Gilly sponsored them, that's the car brand, and is it Gilly or Gilly, whatever, right? The car brand sponsored them, and usually in other movies recently I've seen advertisement is always horrible, but this time, in trying to show that Gilly or Gilly, whatever, is one of their sponsors, what they did was to try to make a commercial for the brand, while Nancy was like the, you know, brand ambassador and all that stuff. So yes, those kind of adverts is what I love to see. Even if you're going to show that a brand sponsored your film, your movie, don't let it be all over the place. Don't throw it in our face. Let it be subtle and nice, and that's something they got right in this movie. Kings also sponsored them, but how did they show us? They showed us by imputing that as one of the sponsors of that Tolani Talker's show. That's the girl that was onto Queen's Case, the show host, and it was nice to see as well. So yes, these are some of the things that I noticed they did really well in the movie, and I loved it. Another thing I loved about this movie is the soundtrack. Oh goodness me, even if you're tired of the movie at any point, your favorite song comes playing, and then you're just singing to it, and you just forget that you're bored. Not like I was bored, but I'm just telling you what soundtracks can do to you. I remember saying in one of my movie reviews in 2021 that I now love how Nigerian movies are imbibing popular songs as soundtracks in movies. I mean, if you can't give us an original soundtrack like Ekule Afolayan would do, then give us songs that we already know. And I think that's something they are all doing now that I really like. So there were a lot of songs popping up at different times in the movie, and they were fit for those scenes or those times. For instance, there was a song by Check, History came up at a point, Vibes on Vibes came on at some point. So these are relatable songs that made some of those scenes even more relatable when they came on. Yes, so basically acting was on point, storytelling was on point, advert placement was on point, what did I say again? Soundtrack was on point. I think these are 4 things that I noticed about the movie that I really liked. What did I not like? One of the things I did not like, I'm sure you've been waiting for me to talk about it, is the cinematography. I don't know what happened, but I really felt like the movie wasn't sharp enough for compared to all the movies that I've seen in recent time. I mean, what happened to good cameras? What happened to good lighting? You know, it was just looking like I was, at the point I was telling my husband that maybe we are still in the past, because, you know, I said that there were a lot of storytelling from the past to the present. So I felt like because we're in the past, they decided to not make the color grading sharp, because they were telling us a story from the past. But even when we moved to the present, I was waiting for, you know, that clarity, and I did not get it. So I'm wondering what happened to good cameras in this movie. That was sort of a turn off for me, because I was watching in a theater where we're just four. It's supposed to be like a gold treatment theater. So you want to feel all that nice, you know, color, and, you know, but I didn't have that feeling. Another thing I didn't like was the sound. The sound was everywhere, in and out at different places. I felt like while they were editing, they felt like some places were really loud, so they tried to reduce it. And then, so imagine there was a conversation between Nancy and Timini, and maybe Nancy was really loud, so they would reduce Nancy's own and then leave Timini's own at the level it was. I thought that wasn't wise enough. Kuku leave it at the noise and let us just know that there was a problem. So I felt like they did tweak the audio at different times, and it became really obvious, and I really didn't like it at all. So that's another issue I had with the movie. From the directing was okay, but the establishment shots were a little bit too much, to the point that I was now thinking, okay, you're showing us Lekki, and then all of a sudden we are in the ghetto, especially for the part where Nancy went to ask for forgiveness from the family. She killed the husband and all that stuff. So the establishment shots were almost everywhere, but again, it was something I could overlook. Yes, the story had a bit of questions here and there, but I feel like every time I had a question in mind, they sort of answered it a little bit, you know, one way or the other. I like the ending as well. It wasn't something conventional. I mean, you would have expected it to just end by showing us the new life and the new stuff Nancy was up to after the death of her husband. But then there was this, they tried to do this Marvel kind of ending where there's a story after the credits, and I think I liked the surprise that came with that, when Nancy had to go put the Tolani Talker, the what's it called now, TV show host girl in a place. I like to see that. I really liked it, even though I felt like the lines from Nancy were a bit too shallow, but then I just really like the idea of that kind of ending. I would have loved something more punchy, because I mean, you were trying to give us a surprise, so why not make it full and deep? So yeah, that was something else I really enjoyed about the movie. In all, I think it was a good watch. I felt all the emotions that were felt, the laughter, the tears, the pain. I felt almost everything, because all of the actors were believable. So I enjoyed watching it, and I think I'm going to recommend you watching this movie. Apart from the lessons of going for what you believe in and all that stuff, and standing up for yourself when it matters most, you know, all those lessons were thrown into it, and I really liked it. For someone who is in the media, it's something that really speaks to me as a person, and I'm just hoping that one day we're gonna blow. So yes, people, Superstar is a good watch. I would rate it, apart from the cinematography-ish that I noticed, and the sound, I think I'm just gonna rate it a 6 over 10. It's a good watch. You will not regret it. Simple story, but of course, the actors did their job, and I think that's what matters the most right now, when you get the story right. So yes, Superstar the movie, I love it. I hope you do too. If you've seen it, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you've not, well, go see it and also come back to let me know what you think. Till next time, again, I know I'm still owing you guys a lot of other movies, but don't worry, one step at a time, I will pay my pay my dues. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.